Hey there, toy collector friends and Bat fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Triple TC, that is the time traveling toy collector, and today I am looking at another Batmobile of sorts, as we look at another entry into the Batman Automobilia collection. This time it's the Batmobile as it appeared in Detective Comics issue 601, and here it is, lovingly produced in 3D from the world of 2D. By Hero Collector and Eagle Moss. It was part of their very successful Batman Automobilia collection back in the day, and I'm currently running through the various models in that collection, and this is where we are today. Before I carry on with it, it would be great if you could drop a like to this video if you are enjoying and interested in what you're seeing here, and similarly it would be tremendous if you could help me get to my next subscriber milestone by clicking on that subscription button. It's completely free, there's no obligation to watch all of the output if not all of it appeals to you, which is perfectly understandable and quite fine, but it really would mean a lot and really help me, as I'm not a super regular poster. It really helps beat the algorithm if more people subscribe and like the video, but you probably already know that because you hear it 1,000 times a day from various people on YouTube, so I'm going to shut up talking about that. And if you do, you do, and if you don't, I'm just glad that you've popped by to have a look at this interesting entry into the Batmobile collection. And as you can see already, it's one of the rare, well, not rare, but one of the few Batmobiles that goes into this sort of lovely dark blue color, which is, I imagine, very indicative of how it appeared in the inked version of the story in the comics themselves. But it retains that lovely metallic blue shine here in its model form. We'll just do a quick 360 while the case is on there. Again, it's, as with all Eagle Moss cases, it's bolted to the bottom. There's the official trademark there. It's bolted to the bottom there, so it will not jiggle about and wiggle about and fall off when we move it around for a good look shortly. But yeah, ultimately you can see this is one of the more unusual designs. Some of the Batmobiles and Bat vehicles, you can see something of a standard vehicle underneath it. This is, I would suggest, not one of those. So if we crack the case off, I have already loosened it so it should come away. The first thing we will take a second to look at, of course it's restuck in the moment since I've been talking, how wonderful, is the lenticular backdrop. Now that just means that it has been applied to some multiple layers, in very simple terms there, so that it can give the impression of being three-dimensional or an additional level of depth of vision when you're looking at it. This one is okay. I mean, it's clearly a fairground, which suggests that this particular adventure took place in a fairground, or at least partly. And it's usually extracted either as a cell from the movie that it's from, or a plate within the comic in which it appears. And I'm assuming this is something to do with the story from which it appears way back when. If you are more of a Batman aficionado than I am and are familiar with Detective Comics issue 601, then please feel free to let me know in the comments, the actual context and reference to the fairground and some of the unique features, as I suspect you may know about them, of this very interestingly designed Batmobile. Now, the first thing I am going to point out, as ever, is that this time around we do get a very nice base here. We don't always get a base, often, well, we always get a base, but often it's plain, and there's not an awful lot done to heighten the presentation. Here we have what looks like boardwalk slats upon which it's sitting, and we have a newspaper discarded here, so let's see if we can see what that says. It's the Gotham Gazette. Winged freak terrorizes gangland Gotham. Well, I think we know who that is. Spoiler, it might be Batman. So let's take a quick look. Here is the top down of this. Really interesting. It almost has a sort of, and this is obviously not what it is, but it almost has a sort of toboggan feel to it. It's obviously a single seater. We can see the seat there. We'll take a look inside in a second because you can already see there's a lot of really good coloured detail there, which I think is really nice to see. And it does elevate the models to a next level. But it's a single seater. It has some really interesting wings deployed here at the back, so they literally form a sort of curvature over the top. It looks there like in the actual design, it has a hinge, so maybe they open outwards for aerodynamic purposes or additional speed, or maybe it has an aquatic option. I might Google it after this because I'm fascinated. It has clearly got its tyres there. They're kept securely covered by those wheel trims there, those mega wheel trims really. You can see that the actual wheel trims are pulled out in silver, so they haven't scrimped on that. That's still happening underneath this. But it does sort of suggest that maybe it's designed for some peculiar sort of engagement. Maybe it's supposed to go on one of the Big Dippers or something. Maybe it's supposed to pursue whoever it's pursuing on there. We've got the nice yellow headlights pulled out on the front there in the shape of the bat eyes, familiar. And actually, if you get it the angle just right, you can see it sort of is reminiscent of the cowl from the eyes up, and there's the ears formed by those sort of spoiler elements there. We do have the traditional black and yellow bat signal on the sides. No obvious doors, but I imagine you just leap in from there. The rear sees what looks like an array of lights, but maybe it's some sort of afterburner type thing. And there's 3, in modern parlance, they look like USB ports, but they're not. I suspect they are thrusters. Again, I'm also wondering whether that plays into the aquatic element of this particular vehicle. But anyway, let's look inside the cockpit. I'll hold it there and see if I can zoom in a bit for ease, because that might be the preferred way of doing it, jumping about, because it's trying to focus. How does that look? It looks a little bit not cool because it's a bit fuzzy. I don't want it to be fuzzy. All right, there we go. So there we can see some nice cartoon-esque detailing around there. You've got the steering column there, and there's some controls on the steering column. I really like how detailed this has got. There's some lovely comic detailing there with keypads and screens and what have you. I think that's really well done, but it doesn't just stop there. It also follows down. You can see that hopefully to either side of the seat there. You've got buttons and lights, and I assume that's a brake maybe. But there's, yeah, I think that the level of detailing in this cockpit is definitely one of the better offerings of this range. They do a really, really great job of it. I think that looks absolutely excellent. And again, we've got much of the same design this side. I've pretty much already shown it to you. I do love that that metallic blue paint that is used for this Batmobile, because you can see it's got that element of sort of sparkle in there, which I think absolutely does this particular variation of the Batmobile justice. It really is a spectacular piece, I think, and a very definitely worthy entrant into the Batman Automobilia range. So I'm really, really chuffed that I did pick this up. What's your favourite Batmobile or Bat vehicle? Be it a Bat bike or a Bat plane or a Bat copter, or maybe it's one of the Bat villains vehicles. Well, if it was released in the range of Batman Automobilia, I will I will have it if it was released in the range, because I have the entire range. So if there's something you really want me to show off that you maybe missed out on when you were collecting it, or you've never heard of it but you've somehow come across it and you want to have a butcher's, just let me know in the comments down below, or message me via Instagram. Or Facebook or X. You'll find me. I'm Time Travelling Toy Collector. There's not many of us knocking about. You'll figure out that it's me, and let me know, and I'll find it and advance it on my publication list of these particular models. I do think that the vast majority of them, not all of them, but the vast majority of them, do a sterling job of reproducing what has only ever been historically either 2D cartoon images, or vehicles that have appeared obviously in some of the movies, but also in the 1966, well, Batman 66 or the TV show. There's some great stuff. There's also a couple of clunkers. And I've tended to steer away from those so far, but I will at some point have to show them off if I'm doing the whole range. They're not, are they clunkers? I suppose they're just not as exciting as some of the other Batmobiles. I mean, they exist, and they're rightly covered by the range, but some of them are not perhaps why I would have joined the collection to collect. If they'd been missed out, I wouldn't have wept in favour of perhaps some other stuff. But there we are. That's the nature of collecting. You take the rough with the smooth, the good with the bad, and other appropriate idioms. So, do you like this? Do you know anything about it? Can you give me some more context? I would love to hear more. It probably tells me everything about it in the magazine that came with it, but unfortunately, I won't go into the ins and outs of it because it's very depressing, but the magazines are an parted company through no desire of my own for that to happen, but it's just the way time works and the nature of life is that these things happen. So I'm keen to hear your thoughts and views and knowledge about this particular vehicle. Is it supposed to go on, I mean, I'm probably sound like a nutter, but is it supposed to go on the one of the rides? Is it supposed to be able to follow someone on one of these rides? Because that's, you know, I could see it zooming along on a Big Dipper. But assuming that I'm nuts, do please correct me and tell me in the comments the actual history of this particular vehicle. Thank you for your time and spending the last 10 or 15 minutes with me. You've been a fantastic audience. I, as ever, have been the Triple TC. That's the Time Travelling Toy Collector, and this has been the Batmobile as it appeared in Detective Comics issue 601, and produced in glorious real life by Hero Collector and Eagle Moss from back in the days, Batman Automobilia collection. It just remains for me to hope that I see you in another video coming soon, or perhaps already out, and to say that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. Take care. Bye-bye for now.